Hi beautiful souls, it's Tad back here on this channel with another astrology video, and we're going to talk about Neptune in the 7th house today. I'm actually kind of redoing this Neptune series because I did Neptune in the 5th and the 6th house, but I felt like the messages that I was trying to convey didn't really come out the way that I'd hoped. So I'm going to go ahead with Neptune 7th, and then we're going to go back and eventually I'll be redoing Neptune in the 5th and 6th house. And also, I think I made the video during Mercury retrograde, and I find that the things I was trying to say was just a bunch of mumbo jumbo. Anyways, if you have Neptune in the 7th house, feel free to leave a comment below letting us know what your experiences have been having Neptune here. And before you get started and watch this video, I'd recommend that you watch my Neptune introduction video first, so links up there and also in the description box below. You can watch that and then come back and watch this video. Neptune always takes us from a place of being illusioned about something to a place where we actually find truth within that situation. So from illusion to truth. With Neptune in the 7th house, illusion starts because you believe that people are all good. They're all good-natured. They're all kind-hearted. Like, you really believe so, because you know that yourself, like, you are highly compassionate and understanding of people, and you feel that other people are just the same. Even though some people might display behaviors that are obviously very toxic to other people, you still believe in the goodness of their heart that's hiding in there somewhere. So what can happen is, once because the 7th house is all about relationships, once you start to get into relationships with people, you begin to kind of have this projection towards them. You feel that they should be good, so you kind of project this expectation onto the person that you're with, and it's a very high expectation that they have to match up to. And it's an expectation of almost this godlike person that the people that you are with are going to have to be and try to match up to. What you're actually doing is that you're trying to fill in a kind of emptiness that you have inside of you. We all have emptiness, but Neptune in the 7th, you're trying to fill it through other people. So because you feel, that you are good-hearted by nature, and if that person that you're with, romantic relationship most likely, are also really good-hearted, then it's going to be easy for the two of you to bond and merge together, as opposed to if they weren't. So you prefer to see that they are also amazing, so that you can bond together and you can merge and become one, so that after the merging you can almost kind of get lost in the other person, and therefore you don't have to face life on your own. You don't have to take on the responsibilities of life all by yourself. You have this other person to save you from all that. With Neptune here in the 7th house, there is a subconscious self-protectiveness. You want to be able to protect yourself from getting hurt in a loving relationship. But the way that you go about and try to do this is by putting yourself in a situation subconsciously where you can kind of leave that situation anytime you want. If you want to run away, you can do it. And that is why you project perfectionism onto the other person, because subconsciously you're trying to avoid intimacy. Real intimacy comes when you really see the person for who they really are, and you still love them for all their darkness, all their flaws, not all of their toxic behavior, but their dark side. You can really love that about someone. You share things with another person. This is true intimacy. When there is true intimacy, the bond is really hard to break. But with Neptune in the 7th, subconsciously you want to avoid this by projecting a good image onto another person, so that you don't have to deal with that intimacy, so you can disappear when you feel that you're about to get hurt. You see, intimacy is the foundation for a really strong relationship. Without that, relationships can just be gone, right? So the danger now that comes with this illusion is that you allow yourself to be involved in very quick involvements with people. You know, you meet somebody, you fall head over heels, you be fully committed and fully in love. And what happens? It's kind of like, you know, when a house is not built on strong foundations, not built on strong columns and pillars, when a storm comes by, the house can just disappear. Without that intimacy to be the foundation of a relationship, your relationships are likely to just come and go like that. And the way that this plays out when you first fall in love with somebody, it almost is as a fuzziness. There's a fuzziness in the way that you fall in love, where you feel like, oh, I don't know why I love this person. They're just so wonderful. I'm just so addicted to them. I just need them around. I'm just so in love. That's the kind of fuzziness of the love of Neptune in the 7th house. The love without the real intimacy being there. There's also the danger of promiscuity with this placement, because when you did not have that initial intimacy with someone and you get into a relationship with them anyways, there's likely to be a feeling of emptiness inside of you. So to compensate for that, you seek out other people to kind of fill that emptiness and loneliness inside. So you see, you're kind of starting off trying to avoid emptiness and loneliness, but you kind of end up with that anyways. There is also a risk of different kinds of violations through quick involvements with people. So the most basic one would be, you know, where one partner is dominating over the other partner. They might be abusive physically, emotionally, mentally, verbally. And when the passive partner kind of tries to speak up or say what they need from the more dominant partner, the dominant partner tends to think that the passive partner is making unnecessary demands. When you start, and this can go the other way around as well. You know, Neptune in the 7th can also mean the dominating role. It can go either way. But if you are the one in the passive role and you start to have a fear of your partner, that's when you know that the lesson of Neptune in the 7th house is coming out at you, all right? Other kinds of violations might include relationships where the two people are kind of just always sitting on the fence. They can't really commit, you know, they're kind of neglecting each other. Another kind of violation would be, you know, falling in love with unavailable partners, people who are married, people who are living abroad, and it's really hard for you two to come together. And the worst kinds of violation is the violation of your identity and worth. And this comes when you are saying yes to your partner. You know, your partner is good, so I want to be like them. I want to do what they do. I'm going to believe what they believe. I'm going to value what they value. This is a violation of your own self-worth and your own value system. This leads to a lot of shame. This is very dangerous. So now let's talk about the truth of the situation. What's really happening here and how you can become more spiritually evolved with Neptune in the 7th house. So the truth is that the reason why this is happening is because of some kind of abandonment, whether that be big or just a small thing, you know, in childhood, but you kind of held on to that. And it's kind of now playing out in your life, where you're trying to avoid that, but then you keep getting that because you're not going about it the right way. So the only way that we can really get rid of any kind of fear is to face the fear. So if you have a fear with Neptune in the 7th of being alone, of loneliness, then you have to be alone. That's the only way to get rid of this fear. And it's usually something that happens when, you know, the Neptune in the 7th house person is basically pushed to the edge of their chair and they're about to fall off, and they're like holding on to the seat, and they're like, oh, I just can't hold on anymore. And they finally let go of it. And then they realize that, okay, fine, I've fallen out of the chair, I'm alone, and I'm gonna have to face this fear. There's usually some kind of external situation that really pushes them into this situation. External situation that pushes them to have to face this fear. So yeah, so you feel like you just can't do this relationship dynamic anymore. So now you have to be alone. So what can you do when you're alone? There is so much potential, that there's so many things you can do when you're alone. It's liberating. You can literally do anything. You can travel anywhere, you can meet people, you can go out and you can pursue a hobby that you've never tried before. But if there's something that I would really recommend for Neptune and 7th house people to do, is to really be in nature and kind of be in touch with their bodies, like really be alone and listen to what their body is telling them that it needs. Does it need to sleep? Does it need to eat? Does it need to do some exercise? Whatever the body is telling you, you have to honor that, okay? This is called building up your intuition and your instincts, which you have a buttload of. You just have to get in touch with it. And the other thing that you could do is that, because the 7th house is the house of marriage, all right? And Neptune is the higher stuff, the higher self. You could also be married to the spirit when you're alone. You could devote yourself to a higher calling, devote yourself to a greater cause. And it's not uncommon for Neptune in the 7th house to devote themselves to a god or a goddess or some kind of spirit where they can kind of give their love to. Now, these two things are very important because this allows you to love yourself more, so that you can know when another person comes into your life how to love them correctly. By being with yourself and listening to your own instincts, I mean, that's pretty basic. That's you. That's the best way that you can love yourself, right? So when another person comes in, you can see, you can use your instincts and intuition, and you can see, okay, am I willing to invest in this person or not? My body, your body, is gonna tell you whether this person is gonna be worth it. And most likely, everybody has a good side to them, right? Everybody has some goodness in there. But now you can really see, okay, the goodness that they have in them, is it really worth my time? Is it, enough to meet the standard of what I would consider, or what you would consider to be good enough for you to invest in? You know what I mean? And when you devote yourself to a higher calling, with Neptune in the 7th, you have so much love to give. And I would really recommend that you kind of give half of that to a higher calling, a spirit that you will devote yourself to, and the other half to the person that you get involved with. That's the balance that you can have with Neptune in the 7th. When you've finally uncovered the truth of how to love, you can really find real intimacy with somebody, because now you know what real intimacy is not by having experienced what it's not. So now when you're with somebody, you can really love them for their dark side, and you're willing to face the fear of seeing their dark sides and accepting that, so that you can be with them long term. And you finally realize that real intimacy is about who that person is right now. And it's not about that fantasy future that you always imagine you're going to have with them, that Neptunian future where you get with somebody because they match the type of future that you want. That's not real. You are in love with somebody now because of who they really are when they're with you, and who you really understand them to be, and their dark side and everything. You understand now that even though your personalities might be different with someone, as long as your spiritual values are the same, love is possible. Unconditional love is possible. So that's my take on Neptune in the 7th. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you have Neptune in the 7th, leave a comment below letting us know what your experiences have been. If you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, then please hit the red subscribe button below to join our little astrology family here. And if you've already subscribed, thank you very much. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.